is either in the area or about to move into the area in the next hour or so. But this is all part of a line of storms, and that line extends way down to the south here, all the way back down towards the Kansas City area, and that also has a severe thunderstorm watch that extends southwestward. So we still have that tornado watch for parts of the area in our viewing area, but it's starting to chop away because the threat for severe weather is coming to an end, and that's all part of a line that extends farther to the south, and you see that line move farther to the south and east.
Now they've upped the wind gust to potentially 80 miles per hour under this severe thunderstorm. So again, very, very strong winds starting to come out of this. This would be for southeastern Johnson County and southern Cedar County. So again, there's a lot of going on here. And where you're looking at Iowa City here, the Pentecost, that is in the bottom right portion of your screen. So that's the view right now. Again, it doesn't look like it's raining quite yet, but the rain's just about to get there, and very strong winds are just about to get there in Iowa City as well, kind of heading into downtown Iowa City.
You'll have to watch the flags on the top of the building there, top of the Capitol building. Then you can see off in the distance, you got some low-hanging clouds. A lot of times you'll get that when it's pretty muggy out there, and it is pretty muggy out there at this point. Let's see, dew points are running into the middle 70s, low to mid 70s in that location. So you've got these low-hanging clouds, and if it's not spinning or attached to the supercell, we would look at them and they would be called scud clouds, and they're just low-hanging clouds, but they're not of threat. But this is all looking at the storm as it moves on in. You can see it getting closer, and this is all of a sudden just going to start ramping up. As we watch that camera in Iowa City, you watch the trees. The trees aren't really moving a whole lot. Flag's not moving a whole lot. That is going to change very shortly. The wind should start to pick up, and the rain should start to pick up. And it looks like I just saw a few raindrops falling from the sky there in Iowa City, but there's your storm and the tornado warning that remains in effect for Iowa City at this hour. Circulation within this, though, is south of Iowa City, but this is really starting to turn into more of a wind event, because look at that blue shaded coloring there. I'm going to take the warnings off. I'll have you talk there for a second.
Yeah, so, and the reason why they upped it to 80 miles per hour, we did see a confirmed report of an 81 mile per hour gust 4 miles northwest of the Kelowna area. That's kind of near the area where we saw the trailer, or the semi blown over, excuse me. So that's why they upped the severe gust to 80, and you can see again those very bright blues. That is very strong wind. You can see again velocity. Again, disregard the negative. That's just again the direction that it's going towards the radar, not away from it. They have to make one the other. But again, 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts not out of the question here with this, and this is going to mostly be located kind of in the most bowing section of the radar, and basically it's going to be kind of at the forefront, so you can kind of see behind that a little bit. I wonder if the radar might be a little bit more ahead of the velocity, but this is something where where you're seeing that bow and arrow shape, usually kind of where you would place your arrow, so to speak. That's where we're going to see the strongest of the winds, and as Schnack's outlining it here in white, where that bowing is, right there, that's where we're going to see the strongest of the winds, and that's also where potentially you can see kind of some spin up, some rotation, and that's why we saw the wall cloud earlier, kind of right along the middle of that. We saw that wall cloud near the hills area. Have not seen any further reports from that, but right now, especially with the winds, that is probably the biggest threat right now, and some of those reports now coming into here. So the Kelowna, that again was the trailer blown over at 543, Highway 22 near Kelowna, and that was confirmed by emergency management in Washington County. And then we had a couple of strong wind gusts in Amish, 60 mile per hour wind gust. That was roughly around 549 in southwestern Johnson County. And then I believe, this is the 81 mile per hour wind gust in Williamstown, measured on a weather station there. So very strong winds with this just in the past 15 minutes, and it looks like it is still maintaining fairly good strength as it heads to the east in far southeastern Johnson County and into far southern Cedar County for these very strong wind gusts.
So there's Kelowna, there's where the strong wind was, and then looking at this, and that is where the strong wind is right now. So this was back here, this is now here, and so this area right out in front of it, right in here, right in this location, right here is where you're going to get your strongest winds moving through. So that is south of Iowa City. So that is good news for the city of Iowa City, but not farther to the south, where you have the very strong wind that's about to move into Lone Tree. So Riverside, Kelowna, some very strong wind there. This is heading towards Lone Tree, could be near Downey, over towards Atalissa, but definitely Lone Tree. This is along Highway 22. So if you're in this area, you are under the tornado warning, but the threat for a tornado may be a little bit less of a concern than the 80-mile-per-hour wind. That could cause some significant damage, and that could do as much damage as a weak tornado could, and make it maybe even more widespread there.
Yeah, and again, that Highway 22 area is where we saw that semi blown over. So, and I think they're just continuing this tornado warning, and it looks like that has the observed tag, so I want to see where they possibly spotted this. Weather spotters confirmed tornado, so I want to see where we possibly saw that. The confirmed tornado was located over hills, so where we saw the wall cloud, and moving to the east at around 45 miles per hour. So it looks like, again, on velocity, not necessarily showing up very well, but this was, again, located over the hills area just a minute ago at 6:02. So if you're in the hills area or just to the east of the hills area, we've seen weather spotters have confirmed a tornado, so make sure to take shelter and, again, get into that interior room. And first in the basement, and then once the tornado threat is over, we have heard that there's going to be a flash flood warning issued here in a little bit for Johnson County, Washington, Cedar County, because very strong and heavy rain, probably inch, maybe up to 1.5 inch rainfall rates per hour out of the storm system. So that flash flood warning will probably be issued as well here very soon.
And that all lines up with the same storm system that was south of Des Moines a couple hours ago. That is prompted the flash flood warnings. You can see all the flash flood warnings. We'll switch modes here, all the warnings currently. But you can see them. It all started here. This is the same storm system back out here, right here, that moved this direction pretty much the whole entire time. That warning, that storm was out here and is now over here. So that is the whole path of that storm in the area. So that is right there where the storm has pretty much tracked. And you can almost see that by looking at the rainfall amounts. You can see the heaviest of the rainfall sitting right in that area as well. Right in here, that's where the flash flooding has been. And we are looking at the possibility of a tornado or confirmed tornado. And there's your flash flood warning.
Yeah, this is going to be, again, it's all on top of each other, so I'll point out the
They're all going
counties
to get
here.
complicated here.
Yeah, so it's in southern Iowa County, southern Johnson County, northeastern Keokuk County, and northern Washington County. This will be in effect until 12:15 early tomorrow morning. So that's that right there. That's starting to blink on your screen. So that's where we've seen a lot of heavy rain, as Schnack mentioned, just kind of adding on to the storm system we saw near the Des Moines area moving east, that there's a lot of heavy rain with this that's falling in a matter of just an hour or so, probably inch and a half per hour rainfall rates.
Looks like there's a new warning for southern part of Washington County now.
Yes, so they're just continuing, it looks like kind of extending it, but this one is not as strong at least. 60 mile per hour wind gusts and that tornado possible tag, just due to the fact that we've seen a lot of rotation of already seen a confirmed tornado from weather spotters near the hills area. So again, 60 mile per hour wind gusts here for Washington County, and that'll extend farther to the south near the Mount Pleasant and Fairfield area, just to the southeast of the KWWL viewing area. But the strongest of the storm right now is kind of, again, as I mentioned, where that arrow is lining up in kind of that southeastern Johnson County area.
Let's go back to the Iowa City camera, if we could, University of Iowa. Remember how things were a lot quieter a little bit ago? And there is the heavy rain as well as the strong wind now pushing through Iowa City. So just a little bit ago, the wind was fairly light. We didn't have any rain falling, but now it is pouring, and we've had some pretty strong wind push on through that area. And that extends farther to the east. So this will probably last with the heavy rain in Iowa City, probably maybe another 20, 30 minutes or so. And then the heaviest of the rain will start to lighten up. But then we still have rain that continues for, another hour or so. That extends all the way out towards the west. Could be even 2 hours. But the heaviest of the rain, as well as with the strongest wind, that is now moving through Iowa City or just to the east of Iowa City. and we are looking at the strongest wind now approaching near Downey, Lone Tree. This is over heading towards the Atalissa area. This has the potential for producing 70-mile-an-hour winds. It does have a history of producing 80-mile-per-hour winds, though. There's also a possibility of a tornado, which has been observed near the Hills area, and that continues to move toward the east at this point. You can see Lone Tree, River Junction there, Riverside, heavy rain falling at this point. Kelowna, as the strongest of the wind is now to your east of Kelowna. Same thing in Sharon Center. Looking at the heaviest of the wind outside of Wyndham. The Iowa Mennonite School is to the east. Hills is right there. This is where the report of the tornado was. There's Hills right here. That was the observed tornado location, and that is probably a bit farther to the east. I know there's an update there as the storm moves fairly quickly, so that would put the potential right in here. And we do some circulation. Nothing stands out at this point when it comes to a tornado, according to looking at the radar here. But the biggest threat is that wind. Look how the color, look at the deep blue color there, west of Hills that we had. I'm going to take off the warnings for a second, see if I can do that in here. Take off the warning, and just to find out, query that. That's 82 miles an hour, and that's where we've had some pretty nasty wind pass on through. So 88 mile per hour wind aloft. And again, this doesn't necessarily mean that that comes down to the ground, but that means that there's a potential because it's there. And you get enough downdraft and with the thunderstorm, which is pretty significant, and then that wind in the upper levels can come racing down and cause problems, and has done so through this evening. So the tornado warning, again, this gets real complicated because we have multiple warnings on top of each other. So this may help break it down just a little bit. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in the orange shaded areas. Then we have the tornado warning, which is the red on top of the severe thunderstorm warnings. And then this green area on the back side of these warnings that are associated with the heavy rain, and that is flash flood warnings. Camera on the right. Jeff, what is that on the bottom right? 218 and Iowa 1 with the heavy rain from the DOT showing that passing on by. Looks like vehicles are a little slower in traveling. One, because of probably the winds. Two, the visibility of the wind and the rain and the amount of rain. Well, the road conditions probably aren't the best as well because there's probably some ponding because the rain is falling so hard at this point. This is heading towards West Liberty High School. Nichols, Downey right now, some very heavy rain. Atalissa, your wind is coming up here pretty shortly, so please take cover in an area. Assume that this is going to be some damaging wind moving into your area in the next, within the next 10 minutes at this point.
And it looks like we have a couple reports of a tornado on the ground. This is 3 miles west of Nichols. Looks like it's probably along Highway 22 there from a trained spotter. So that is a report tornado a couple minutes ago there. Also had a report from Muscatine County, a tornado on the ground. They've lost visual of it. So again, potential of one on the ground, even though not showing up on radar, would probably be between the Lone Tree and Nichols area near Highway 22. That's where that potential tornado would be.
The first report was south of Hills, then Lone Tree, and then towards Nichols. So it's been moving in that direction right in here. So it's been located here, it's been located near here, and now near the Nichols area, so located here. So there's where your path has been taking this here this evening with the confirmed tornado. They've adjusted this just a little bit. I think that's probably to include the observed tornado information.
I was gonna say, once that comes in, I think, again, that's just continuing those updates of, again, seeing trained spotters with the tornado near the Nichols area, just a couple miles west of the Nichols area there. So again, tornado warning in effect until 6:30. It is right now would be in far eastern and southeastern Johnson County, and then that would be heading into Muscatine County. But we're still seeing very strong winds on the backside of that. Things, it looks like, at least on velocity, are diminishing slightly, but still could probably see 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts out of this. Again, it's not as prominent it was maybe before, but still seeing very strong winds out of this as well. So again, that continuation of the tornado warning. Again, just reiterating what we've already said, weather spotters confirmed tornado. So again, it was located over Muscatine County Fairgrounds, 8 miles southeast of West Branch, moving to the east at 50 miles per hour. So I think as of now, that tornado has now moved out of Johnson County into Muscatine County, but still now dealing with a lot of heavy rainfall. Potential flash flooding and urban ponding, especially in the Johnson County area. We're seeing a lot of rainfall, maybe Iowa County, Keokuk County, and northern Washington County, where that flash flood warning is. And again, still probably seeing a lot of lightning and gusty winds kind of embedded with this storm as well.
And that's where the threat has been for severe weather. It's been along Interstate 80 and south. Yes, we have some rain across our northern counties here with a lot of lightning, located right now just west of Monticello. That is just south of Hopkinton, but it is just that. It is heavy rain, not damaging wind at this point that we are aware of. Looking at inside this, the wind doesn't appear to be very strong. This is very heavy rain, though. It could be about an inch per hour if it hung around. Hopefully it doesn't do that, but the rain does extend farther to the west here. You can see the rain still continues here, but the risk of any stronger storms would be to the east of this location. And then the threat for severe weather is starting to wind down in our coverage area as these storms start to move out of our coverage area, as this warning remains in effect for Cedar, Muscatine, Washington, as well as Johnson County. But the threat but that is outrunning, almost looks like it's outrunning the warning area, because here's where the leading edge of the storm is, here's where your circulation is, right in that area, and because of that, they are now with a new warning right there. That is your new warning. That is farther to the east. So
yeah, so they did knock down it a little bit, down to 70 mile per hour winds, but still very strong with this, again, as that heads into far southern Cedar County, and then into portions of Muscatine County, and then just farther east there near the Davenport area into Scott County as well. So again, still having that tornado possible tag. As Snack was mentioning, very heavy rain in Oakdale, Iowa, which is in Johnson County. Train spot report of an inch per hour rainfall rate. So we've been seeing a lot of heavy rain with this, especially in our southern areas, because not only have we seen the dew points go up during the day in our southern areas, but also you had the warm front associated with that, as well as kind of a lot of moisture in the elevated portion of the atmosphere. So you're just having a lot of combined rain. You're seeing the Pentecrest there in the southeast, or I should say bottom right corner of your screen, a little bit too locked on a compass here, but you're seeing a lot of heavy rain that's falling at inch per hour. So a lot of ponding could be possible on roads, especially in those urban areas. And we've seen a lot of rain really the past 3 months. So that ground's still pretty saturated, and that's where we could run into those flash flooding problems, especially again, in our southern areas where there's a lot of moisture and a lot of energy to work with as well.
And some of the reports that are coming in, and some of these will get updated in time. They don't all update at the exact same time. You can see some of these reports. This is in Johnson County. This is 3 inches of rain. That's just in the last 12 hours. And you can see several reports to the south and west. This is rainfall amounts about 2 to as much as 4 inches of rain. So, and that's the same storm system that moved through the area. So this is probably about the same area. If you fill that in, we probably see some heavy rain reports in those locations if there were sites that did actually report at that point. But you can see where that heavy rain was. This is just in the last 6 hours, and we take this, and you can see where that is located. The heaviest of rain right in there. That's where the flash flood warnings are in effect for that area, and that's all part of that thunderstorm that continues to move toward the east. And Danny's got some storm reports. If you go to Max 2, if you could.
Yeah, so we'll go to Max 2, just kind of give you an update of what we've been seeing out of the storm system. Again, I think the worst of it, I think, is starting to move off to the south and to the east. It looks like they canceled, I think, the back side of that warning. We'll get to that here in a bit. But here are some of the reports that we saw kind of from this, and this is all, again, the same system. So first we'll start in southwest Iowa County. So this was a report of 70 mile per hour wind gusts in southwest Iowa County in Millersburg, reported by Emergency Management, and they reported that it was getting stronger, and they were right. We saw wind reports farther downstream, that were pretty strong as well. Then we saw near the Amish area in Johnson County, about 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts there. And then we saw 81 mile per hour wind gusts in Williamstown just a couple minutes later on a weather station. And then we also saw some damage near the Kelowna area, I believe on Highway 22. This was a trailer blown over on Highway 22 at roughly 5:43, so very strong winds with that. And then we saw some possible wall clouds on here. And again, it looks like there was a report of a tornado on the ground it looks like Highway 1 in Phoebe Lane. This was at 6 o'clock. It looks like the cruiser hit with debris and heavy rain and lost visual contact there. So that was, we were seeing that kind of southeast track with this tornado. Then it moved off to the southeast near Muscatine County, and that was a report near Nichols, a tornado on the ground 2.5 miles west of the area.
And the last reports out of that, there's multiple reports coming in of seeing a tornado right now. It is 3 miles northwest of Nichols from the Muscatine Fire Department there. They've got a number of folks that are on that, and there is your storm and your tornado in that location near Nichols, and that continues to track on towards the south and east through the evening hours here with the line of storms that pushes in. So it's just outside of our coverage area into Muscatine County there, east of Johnson County, and you can see Nichols there right around Highway 22 or Highway 22 and east of Lone Tree. That is where the tornado is located. Many reports of a tornado just northwest of Nichols, and it's moving toward the east. So those areas are just east and just outside of our coverage area. But Lone Tree still officially in that tornado warning. West Liberty in that tornado warning, and that extends farther to the south, or excuse me, farther to the north. That would include portions of Jones County there and a good part of Johnson County. But I'm guessing with the next update here, they're going to chop away and drop Johnson County from that tornado warning with the next update as they come through. And you can see there are severe thunderstorm warnings with that as well. But that's it. Once this passes on by and they drop that tornado warning, my anticipation is that looking at the conditions that we're dealing with, the threat for tornadoes is over with. And that is going to be good news for our coverage area. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue, and that's it right there. Anything south and east of that line is going to be a threat for a strong or severe storm. And actually, it's in advance of that line. So anything north and west, you're done. Anything to the south and east still has some thunderstorms, and that, you can see there's a lot of lightning with that, but that's where we are looking at thunderstorms. So if you're in that area right there, that is what we're looking at. So the storms are located right there. So from that point, southeast is where we're going to see severe weather. From where that line is, south and east. Areas north and west, you're behind the storm, and then we are looking at some flooding. But you got to watch out in this area back here, because this has a history of producing flash flooding right here and then right in here. So right in that area, watch out for the possibility of some flash flooding here, especially in Johnson County, if you're going to be out and about over the next hour or so. If we can go to the camera in Iowa City, I want to draw your attention to something there. If we could take that full. If you look at the grass, it's flooded. No, go back to the University of Iowa camera if we could. Look at the grass in front of the building there. That is flooded. So that's how fast it happens. It was not that way long ago, and with that heavy rain that pushed on into the region, look at the water now just sitting in a good part of the grassy area. That is one location. That is probably like that in many locations in Johnson County, or at least around the Iowa City area. So if you haven't done so yet, go check on your sump pump, if you have one, and make sure it is still working, because you may need that to be doing that, or make sure you check around your basement there as well, because we've had a lot of rain, and you can see that is the most recent rain that has passed by. So that's probably about a half hour's worth of rain. It was not flooded the grass there, and it's still raining there, so we're not done with the rain. So they'll still add on to that, but you can see the area is now underwater, part of that field.
Yeah,
Grassy area.
Especially if you're in a low-lying area as well. Again, all that water has to go somewhere. Obviously, gravity is going to take its course, so that's something, again, that we'll continue to watch as well. As it's still raining in Iowa City, still moderate rainfall, and still could see that rain linger for another hour or so, even though it's maybe not severe, adding on to what we already saw, very heavy rain in just a matter of half hour or so. And we've had reports of maybe 3 inches off to the west along that line along I-80. So very heavy rain associated with this, as well as those very strong winds as well. And you're seeing that blinking there. Again, they're going to continue the tornado warning to the east, again, out of our coverage area. Again, well, it looks like they're now moving it to the north as well. So this is for Cedar County. Seeing if there's any updates on this. I think just probably for general broad rotation of this system, along with, again, very strong winds kind of out ahead of it, kind of that bowing action as well. So that would probably be the potential area of where we're seeing any spin-up rotation. Again, you kind of get that bow and arrow where you kind of center that arrow at. That's probably where we're seeing it. And here's an update from the Quad Cities. So the reason they issued this is because a lot of low-level shear, so basically a lot of at the surface, a lot of rotation, winds kind of rotating and strengthening as it goes up in the atmosphere. So with that, along with the fact that this has had a history of producing tornadoes, they have decided to now make kind of this entire segment of this very strong winds a tornado warning. So now this includes, again, all of Cedar County through parts of Muscatine County and onward, and that's why they've extended this whole line and made it now kind of one tornado warning. I believe, again, this is, moving off to the east around 40 miles per hour, so we'll put a track on that here again.
I'm not going to go out the whole distance because that takes it outside,
Right.
well outside of our coverage area.
Yeah, so in Wilton High School area 624, Townsend Wildlife area 631, and City Muscatine and outside the area at 636. Calamus Wheatland High School 640, Walcott 645, Donahue at 650, and Bluegrass at 653. Again, under a tornado warning in effect here, I believe, until 7/7/15 or 7/15, excuse me. Really, all of this line has the potential of producing a tornado. This has been radar indicated, but with the storm's history, they've decided to make this whole line of storms a tornado warning. Again, as we go off to the southwest, seeing still a lot of heavy rain with that as well. Kind of just showing the warnings just because there's a lot of activity going on right now. A tornado warning for the strongest part of the storm there in Johnson County. I think that'll be eventually canceled or allowed to expire because now I think the strongest of that is out of Johnson County. And then for Washington County, seeing potential 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts out of that storm as well. And then you can see on the backside that light green, that is that flash flooding, and seeing rainfall rates inch plus per hour, which is causing a lot of flooding. We saw Iowa City at the Pentecrest, kind of that low-lying ponding in the area, so that's why we're seeing that flash flood warning be issued as well. So again, a lot of activity going on with this, not only with potential tornado, but also flash flooding concerns and very strong winds as well that we're seeing. And it looks like a little bit farther up the line, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to come out with a new tornado warning for circulation near the Monticello area. So again, I believe this would be for the Jones County area. I don't believe there's any Monticello out ahead of that, but let's see if we can look at the rotation near the Monticello area. So that would be in this area right here. I'll put a circle over it here. So near Monticello along Highway 151, potential tornado in that area moving off to the east. So if you're in northern Jones County into southwest Dubuque County, be aware that we're seeing some strengthening and rotation in northern Jones County out ahead of this kind of storm now a little bit farther up the line here with this strong storm. So again, that tornado warning will come out rather shortly, but again, if you're in the Monticello area, and there it is, make sure to take shelter because we are seeing the potential of a tornado there. This tornado warning is in effect until 7/15. This is going to be for far southern Delaware County, as well as northern Jones County and over Monticello, southern Dubuque County, and then there into Jackson County as well. And the rotation is in this area right here over Monticello. I believe this is moving off to the east at roughly 45 miles per hour. So we'll look at this here and just kind of, again, roughly 45 miles per hour. So that area right there south of Monticello along Highway 151, moving off to the east at roughly 40 miles per hour. So again, stay in that interior room, stay away from windows. If you're in northern Jones County, a potential tornado is in effect here and moving off to the east around 40 miles per hour.
So tornado warning, that is now going to continue to be in effect until 7:15. So that's 45 more minutes, maybe a little bit less because it'll be outside of our coverage area at that point before the warning gets extended or as the storm moves away, because the warning is extended all the way out towards Swingle there. That is in the southeastern portion of the county. So that does include Delaware County as well as portions of Dubuque County. Just south of the airport the tornado warning. So this is Delaware, Dubuque, Jackson, and Jones in this, and this is a...
And they're just underneath, they're just adding a severe thunderstorm warning, so tagging on the fact that we'll have potential 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So a lot of polygons.
Either way you're looking at it,
Yeah.
there's some severe weather possible, whether it's damaging wind or damaging wind from a tornado.
Yes.
As well as some very heavy rain. That's what we were talking about, that one storm that was up there about in that area. Once this line passes on by, we are done with. That line keeps getting closer and closer to the edge of our coverage area, and that is eventually, we'll say, good riddance to all the storms and the severe weather threat as we head through the next hour. I think most of this is going to be waning, and you'll see the warnings there. I do want to show you the radar. I'll take the lightning off the radar for a second, and this is the location. So the threat for severe weather is right there, right along that boundary, right along that line and to the east. So any place north and west of that, Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, Tama, into Independence, Delaware County, even Manchester, that storm threat is gone. There's still some rain. You still got some decent rain falling up here on Prairie du Chien, Elkader. We've gotten some reports of some flooding in around the Guttenberg area, some spots up around 3.5 inches of rain just today. With that, so that's causing some problems along the river. That's not going to help the river situation, so we'll have to continue to monitor that over the next couple of days as the rivers continue to rise and crest later this week and next week, depending on location. But that is the longer term. The short term problem is the new tornado warning that is here, and the tornado warning for Johnson County still remains in effect at this hour, but the threat for, looks like it's east of Johnson County. So I'm guessing the update there will just get rid of Johnson County, which is going to come here in about a minute and a half anyway, as that warning is going to expire exactly at 6:30. So then that transitions to this threat up here, where we are looking at the possibility of a tornado near Monticello, and that's where you've got your circulation that sits pretty much near Monticello itself, right over Monticello. So if you're in that area, Monticello, Cascades, you need to be taking shelter. Hopefully you've been doing that already. And we have the possibility of some very strong wind there as well. Let me see another image here. Not as strong as down in Iowa City, but wind speeds could be up around 70 miles per hour with the storm heading towards Cascade, over towards Lamont. Dubuque Regional Airport, you are underneath that warning. It is south of town that the warning is. It does not include the city of Dubuque, but there is a possibility of seeing some of that heavy rain and some gusty wind in Dubuque, but the threat for severe weather at this point is south of town. There should be a fair amount of lightning that goes associated with this as well. How about that watch? What have they done with that watch?
So I think they've still kept it all in for now. I think they'll slowly kind of chip away at it again. Once that main line moves through, we'll start to be clipped, but still a tornado watch in effect until 9 p.m. for majority of the area along and south of Highway 30. But again, I think that will still, I think that Benton County area, I think, is now going to be in the clear. Iowa County, Keokuk County will be in the clear, and slowly we'll start to chip away. But the Quad Cities that'll be responsible for canceling this watch. There's a lot on their plate right now, starting, trying to issue severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings, flash flood warnings. So, again, I think that's one of the kind of the lower things that they'll do. But I think generally speaking, if we go back to the radar and kind of just show you that the main line is out ahead. So again, I think areas like Benton County are in the clear now. Iowa County, Keokuk County now are in the clear. Lynn County will start to be in the clear, as well as eventually Johnson County once this does move out. So the tornado warning off to the south was allowed to expire in Johnson County, so Johnson County is now in the clear. Cedar County could see, again, maybe some broad rotation with this, especially with what's the history behind this storm. It looks like we had an update probably on so the blinking you're seeing there, the lightning bolt you're seeing, that's extending that severe thunderstorm warning out of the area to our south. If we go back to this storm again to the north near Monticello, and we'll look at the rotation on this. Again, is probably a little bit to the northeast of Monticello near Cascade. So again, it would be in this area, potentially right here, heading towards Highway 136 to the north and to the east at roughly 40 miles per hour. So we'll put a track on this just to kind of show you where this is headed. And again, we'll take it from the area of rotation. We'll go a little bit farther out just to give kind of an advanced proper warning here. We'll extend it maybe even a little bit past the warning here. So in Cascade area, in 4 minutes here, Fillmore at 6:42, Bernard at 6:48, Washington Mills at 6:52, Zwingle at 6:59, Lamont at 7:04, and King at 7:09 for potential, right now we're just radar indicated tornado, but still could see a potential rotation, or we are seeing potential rotation, so could see a potential tornado out of this. They also extended the flash flood warning. That is now extended into more of Johnson County. So again, a lot of a mess right now, so we'll just take this off. They extended that flash flood warning basically underneath the tornado warning. So once that expires, that will be, again, a threat until about midnight tonight, seeing a lot of pounding on roads. We saw the area kind of near the Pentecrest be flooded. So this whole storm basically has been connected through the Des Moines area all the way through, has had a history of producing very heavy rain. And that's why we're seeing the flash flood warning get continued. I think Mark has a photo to show. We'll go over to that here.
Yeah, this is up and around the Guttenberg area. You can see the information here. Let's go over to Max 1 for a second. I'm going to reposition this so we can see this a little bit better.
So we'll go to Max 2. Mark will kind of follow things a little bit. It's all good. But yeah, so again, seeing a lot of heavy rain with this as well. But again, there's that rotation near northern Jones County and Monticello area headed towards Cascade. So we're continuing to watch that. And then we also have the tornado warning in effect for Cedar County. This is on the very broad side, but very strong winds with this. So far southern Cedar County, near the Durant area, near Wilton High School. I've seen probably some fairly strong winds kind of at, again, the bow here, the arcing of this. I'm seeing some fairly strong winds there, but rotation is fairly broad. Again, they have the tornado warning in effect because this storm has a history of producing tornadoes, so that's why they do have it issued there. We'll go back over to Max 1. Mark's formatted it here, and I believe you said it was the Guttenberg area. Yeah,
this is the Guttenberg area. They've had 3 inches of rain in a short period of time. And so you've got, see, this is near the Dollar General there. Parking lot being flooded. You can see, looks like there's a car off in the distance that's a little bit underwater there. You can see the water coming up around some of the buildings there. The gutter, the water shooting out of that, coming down pretty hard, and you can see the water coming up around the buildings. Again, this is in the Guttenberg area with some very heavy rain causing some problems. And this continues into portions of Wisconsin. You can see part of the roads there. A road is a little underwater at this point, and that is the flooding. I do want to show you the storm reports, not storm reports, the rainfall amounts for those locations. You can see the heavy rain. We were talking about this going around the Guttenberg area. This is rainfall amounts in excess of 3 inches of rain in this area. So we've got all this heavy rain falling right in here, causing some problems. And so that's not just the only location probably. So there's Guttenberg, but you've got all this other rain that's falling back in this area. So there's Guttenberg, but I'm sure there's many spots back in here that have the same situation that you just saw some photos on where they're dealing with flooding rain in this location. I wouldn't be surprised if around Chickasaw County also got the same thing because we got the short amount of rainfall right in here, the Chickasaw County. A bit farther to the south is where things are in northern parts of Lynn County. Yeah, you may have some very heavy rain in there. And look what happened when we showed you Iowa City, the water flooding the front of the Pentecrest there, and that causing some issues. And that's only with the rain amounts that were only about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. This will get updated, so it may be a little bit more, but right now the radar is estimating that to be a bit of an issue. And then you have all of this rain in here, and then this is all going to be a problem with some flooding rain. So this is a widespread flooding issue that we are dealing with, as well as the potential for a tornado, which is located near the Monticello area. And you can see that on Max 2 if you could.
Yeah, and you're seeing that rain logo there. Whenever we're seeing those kind of little symbols on the side, those are just new warnings coming in. That is for a flash flood warning in Keokuk County. They've issued it due to the fact that we've already been seeing flash flooding occurring reported by law enforcement. So that's why you're seeing that there. If we go over to Max 2 when we get a chance, so again, we're seeing flash flooding across much of the area, and so we still have that tornado warning. They continued it, excuse me. So you saw that tornado symbol earlier, that they're continuing that. still radar indicated. This would be, again, in northern Jones County, far southeastern Delaware County, southern Dubuque County, and then into parts of Jackson County as well. Now, again, you're seeing that rain symbol as well. You're probably seeing it on the L bar beneath you. You're seeing that blinking green. Again, more flash flood warnings being issued just because of how much rain we're seeing and how much ponding we're seeing as well. And that is actually issued for the Grant County area in Wisconsin, but kind of near the Guttenberg area where we saw that very heavy rain. So, again, we've been seeing a whole lot with this system. We had a lot of moisture to work with at the surface and above. We had the rain from earlier today and really on and off through much of the day today, and then especially now later during the day, we had that warm front move through, provide even more moisture to an already very water-enriched environment. And that's why we're seeing this rainfall rate at about 1 inch per hour and seeing that kind of ponding on those roads. And as Snacks has mentioned, it's going to potentially cause those river levels to go back up in some areas. I know this morning the Cedar River was projected to flood back to moderate flood stage in Cedar Falls, a minor flood stage along many areas along the Cedar River, the Mississippi, many areas expected to be at least moderate flooding. Obviously had the water from up in Minnesota starting to flow down, but now we're getting even more water added onto that. The Wapsisinnican River, excuse me, the Wapsie River, I can't pronounce that there, but yeah, sorry. I've been here for 2 years. You think I know how to pronounce it, but the Wapsie River, seeing, again, many areas are starting to see rising river levels there. The English River in Kelowna, so a lot is going on with this, not only with the possible severe weather, but also a lot of flash flooding as well. But again, the active warning right now is the tornado warning in effect here for Jones County. We'll go and kind of just show you the warnings overall. Just want to show you all the flash flooding. So again, that was in Grant County, but as Shaq showed earlier, the Guttenberg area, so that lines up pretty well there. We're seeing flash flooding in that area, and that is on the weaker side of things, or at least with not as strong storms we've already seen today, but again, just kind of the repeated rain from earlier in the day. And it looks like we'll go to that warning here in Cedar County. So again, they're continuing that now until 7:15. We'll look at the rotation. We'll see if Cedar County is still kind of involved in it. They're still keeping it in, but we'll see the rotation. Again, it would be probably, if we were to see anything, it would kind of be right in this area, possibly right there, just on the southeast of Bennett Park. But again, rotation's a little bit on the broader side, which is good. Still seeing some very strong winds as well. And you're noticing kind of a lot of a mess to the southeast. And I'll point you to kind of this radar here. That's the Davenport radar. So you're kind of seeing all this kind of mess right here. That's just kind of the radar feedback. As it gets closer to that radar, it's not as good as well. It looks like this camera is on I-80 at mile marker 269.5. So kind of where we're seeing a lot of that heavy rain as well. And you're seeing kind of the wind shake the camera as well. It looks like on the left side, I can't tell if that is construction or cars are being pulled over. It looks like, yeah, there's some construction in that area, but still, cars aren't going as fast as they can just because of how strong these winds are and how heavy that rain is. You can see, obviously, in the fields as well, a little bit of water gathering there, and especially in that mud, obviously, it's going to, get a little bit muddy there. But again, still seeing very strong conditions out there, a lot of heavy rain no matter where we are in eastern Iowa. So very strong conditions there. So yeah, that tornado warning still in effect for Cedar County until 7:15. I think the rotation at least is starting to move out of the area. And then the other tornado warning, this is now broadened, which is good news here. I'll just kind of show you where initially we'll go back kind of in time. So we saw kind of near the Monticello area, that's where we saw that initial tornado warning start to flare up. And now as things have progressed, it's become more of a line. So when you see that line, again, that means we could see maybe little mini spin-ups along the storm, but rotation is broadened, which is good news, but still could see some stronger wind gusts near the Cascade area, Scotch Grove Prairie, and then into the Ozark Wildlife area near Bernard and southern Dubuque County. So we'll watch that and see what happens with this, but still watching some stronger storms potentially kind of in that Jones County into southern Dubuque County as well.
Yeah, so southern parts of Dubuque County there, not much of a concern when it comes to tornadoes, but the strong winds, yes, a possibility as well. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning, even though you may not be under a severe or tornado warning. Southern parts of Dubuque County has the possibility with winds up to 60 miles per hour. And again, the threat for a tornado would be in the far southern part of the county and probably more so just outside of Dubuque County. So also in Delaware County, which is the far southeastern part of Delaware County, right in there, even southeast of Hopkinton, so it's barely into the county line there. But the reason for that is the storm near Cascade than anything else, and this heads towards Zwingle, which is just to the east there. It did pop up and it just disappeared. It's just to the west of Lamont. Zwingle is located, and it's just to the east of Dubuque. So it's heading in that direction. You can see the storm going from left to right there. And I'll put a track on that, just an updated track there for you, and get that into system. Get a little update there as I head towards Zwingle. Look at Temple Hill 641, Clays Mills 645, Ozark 650, Washington Mills 655, and Otter Creek at 704.
All right, yeah, so again, continue to watch that storm there, and again, seeing a lot of heavy rain with this as well. Again, kind of going up and down the viewing area. Let's just kind of show you one look across the state and kind of give you a general idea of kind of what's going on here. So again, a lot of the rain, the heaviest is kind of all along this line. You're seeing warnings up and down this line, very potent atmosphere to work with there. On the backside, maybe a little bit of rain you can see kind of developing on the back, but anything after this is just going to be scattered showers and a few rumbles of thunder at best. This is really tapping into a lot of that energy, and it'll be taking up a lot of that energy. Speaking of which, we'll kind of show you what that looks like here. So again, a lot of that is now being taken up. You can see basically nothing left over. It's basically hogging all of it, and anything left is just going to be off to our south. So again, anything new that forms is just going to be showers and isolated storms. Maybe you could see, again, some more moderate rainfall at times, but I think generally speaking, just we're going to see rain once that is over. So again, we'll continue to watch that. With this last line, kind of that last line of defense, and seeing all those warnings. Speaking of the warnings, we'll click these on as well, and we'll kind of zoom in here a little bit. So again, flash flood warnings basically extending from near the Creston area in near Des Moines all the way through Cedar County, basically going from the central portion of the state to the Illinois border because of a long history of seeing inch-per-hour rainfall rates, and we've seen reports off to the west of 2 to 3 inches of the Mahaska County area on the border of Mahaska and Marion County. Marion County, we saw earlier some flash flooding in the area, so it looks like eastern Marion County.
That was in Pella, and we've seen a lot of reports in Pella where there's all kinds of things that were underwater. Rainfall amounts actually measured are running about 3 3/4, or about 3.5 inches of rain in many spots right around the Pella area, and that is where we've been dealing with, where they've been dealing with flash flooding in those locations. But actually measured reports, 3.44, 3.45, 2.73, 2.68 inches of rain. Radar estimates.
And it beats the radar estimates.
Even beats the radar estimates.
Usually the radar estimate's a little overestimates it, but it's actually been underestimating in some areas. Again, this rain's been very heavy, and maybe not necessarily radar picking it up. Again, it's just taking what it's showing on reflectivity and estimating the rainfall rate per hour, and that's the number it spits out there.
And we didn't have any hail, so that wouldn't, because sometimes hail overestimates the rainfall when it comes to the radar. We haven't had a whole lot of hail, so that wouldn't be a factor in there. Watch continues for the area. That does include Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and Washington. That is just south of Dubuque. That tornado watch is in effect here until 9 o'clock, so we still have a little bit of time, but the threat for severe weather, Benton County, Lynn County, that is coming to an end, as well as portions of Iowa County. Your threat of severe weather is coming to an end. It is now more farther to the east into Jones County, as well as portions of Cedar County, and that should be moving out of the area in the next, I'll say, half hour or so for Johnson County, with the rain continuing, but the threat for severe weather and damaging wind and all that stuff there, that is farther to the east. And yeah, that gets a little messy to the south. They got so many warnings overlapping each other.
Yeah, and we got another report from a viewer, Mike Weinert, our guy that always reports in Iowa City. We always appreciate him. From 6 to 6:30, so about a half-hour time near kind of City High football field, 1.1 inches of rain. So we've been seeing 1.5, maybe up to 2 inches per hour of rainfalls. Again, that's why we're seeing these flash flood warnings get basically tagged from west to east across the area, dealing with a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, basically from top to bottom. So a very active season continues to be active, as we've been seeing heavy rain really throughout the season. Record levels in Waterloo from May and June combined, the highest ever combined precipitation for May and June in Waterloo's history. And now we're starting off July with very wet conditions, basically everywhere, seeing at least an inch of rain, if not more. And of course, once this all comes to an end, we'll kind of add up the totals and kind of see what we come through in kind of all across eastern Iowa for rainfall totals.
We've got a report here in Johnson County. The emergency manager says there was damage to a barn about a little bit southeast of Iowa City. I think it's about 10 miles southeast of Iowa City. So there's been some damage to a barn southeast of the city, and getting more information as the hours goes on, and that's how it usually is. The storms, it takes a little bit of time to get the reports in. That's part of that storm. They had 70 and 80 mile an hour
Right.
winds.
Yeah, I was just saying, so that was kind of that area. It's not showing up on our storm reports that you're seeing in the top left. It's, again, as Snack mentioned, sometimes it takes a bit for them to get thrown into the system, but along with the 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts, also saw maybe a potential tornado roll through that area. So my guess is tomorrow the National Weather Service in the Quad Cities will probably go out, assess the damage, potential tornado damage because of a couple reports, not only near the Iowa City area, but also near the Nichols area as well. So seeing a lot in really our southern counties, not only with the rain, but also potential tornado and very strong wind gusts as well. So we'll go kind of, again, we'll show the radar, show the mess that this is. Again, I think this tornado warning, I think the brunt of any rotation is out of the area. I think this is going to be, again, if anything were, it'd be now kind of off to the east, out of the viewing area. So I think we are in the clear there. We're continuing to watch the storm. It looks like I want to draw a warm front, not quite. We'll go off to the north. Again, very broad.
I don't see a whole lot of anything there.
It's just kind of a line, and that's good. That's good news. We want to see that. You know, usually what you want to see is a little bit of a swirl, and they're not seeing much there. You're not seeing kind of that, you know, that swirl, kind of that yin and yang symbol. That's usually what you look for, but you're not necessarily seeing that. You're just kind of seeing greens and reds, kind of like a pancake, which is good news. That means we're not seeing rotation, just maybe gusty winds. Not as gusty as we've been seeing in the south, but we'll kind of tag an area and see what we kind of see along the front. And it's only about 25, 30 miles per hour. Maybe we could probably see up to 40 miles per hour to this. The severe thunderstorm warning does have a tag of 60 miles per hour. But again, seeing that, again, continue. It looks like they've now trimmed off the warning. That's what you're seeing, that tornado symbol there. And that's why you're seeing the blinking. Let's show just the warning to see it a little bit better. So now southeastern Delaware County is in the clear. Jones County for Monticello area is in the clear, but we still have northeastern Jones County. Again, you're seeing that blinking. That's just meaning it's continuing it. For southern Dubuque County, this does not include the city of Dubuque. Just to the south of downtown Dubuque there, includes the city of Bernard there, and then into Jackson County. And they've continued that tornado warning. And I don't know if we've seen any new reports out of the tornado warning really anywhere.
Have not.
So again, they're just continuing it because, again, this whole line has had a history of, you know, producing maybe some rotation, especially to the south. But we did see that potential rotation earlier near the Monticello area. So I think they're just going to continue it and probably just let it expire around 7:15 once eventually it does come to an end there.
I was going to find, if you go over to max 1, we'll show you how, how we're talking about how fast the rain is falling. And this is a rainfall rate. And you can see the radar estimating about an inch of rain per hour. Inch and a quarter, inch and a third. So these storms are producing a lot of water in a short amount of time. It's been very muggy out there. You probably noticed that today, a lot more humid. Dew points have been running in the lower to middle 70s across much of the region, and it is still muggy out there. Even areas that are farther to the north, it's still pretty muggy. Dew points are running in the upper 60s and low 70s. So it's still very muggy conditions that we'll be dealing with through the rest of the evening hours. That's not going to cool off even as the warm front, because this is a warm front that's really triggering all these thunderstorms and these severe storms here this evening as it lifts on towards the north.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're not going to see much relief really the next few days from that humidity. We're still going to see dew points in the mid to upper 60s through tomorrow into the 4th of July, and we'll finally see some relief Friday and Saturday. But again, it's Iowa, it's July, it's the hottest time of the year. We have a lot of moisture to work with, especially with already what's kind of been in the ground. So we're already kind of tapping into that available water and able to kind of use that as well. So again, that tornado warning in effect for Cedar County. Again, I think most of it is out of the area. We'll see if they do chop that off. Again, the Quad Cities is very busy right now with that storm system, so we'll wait and see. But again, I think for the most part, I think Cedar County, besides some moderate to heavy rainfall, you guys are in the clear there. Again, I think Iowa County, Johnson County, Keokuk, and Washington County, I think are now starting to be in the clear as that system moves off to the west. So again, I think the only system of concern right now is going to be that tornado warning in northeast Jones County. But even then, again, very broad rotation, if any, at all with that.
I'd be surprised if that even continues on through 7:15. They may get closer to the 7 o'clock hour and decide that that's not going to produce a whole lot as it moves eastward. And it really hasn't had any reports with it
No.
that I've seen, whether it's funnel cloud, wall cloud,
Yeah, so the reason
you
why.
gotta go way back to where it was just west of Monticello.
Yeah, so the reason why it got issued in the first place, we'll kind of zoom in here near the Monticello area. This is back in time. This was at 625. You saw maybe a little bit of rotation near the Monticello area right in here. So that's where we saw it, and that's why they initiated it. But now, as Snack's been mentioning, we haven't had any reports of any funnel clouds or anything. So let's go to the current time frame. Again, yeah, we're just seeing greens and reds, but we're not seeing any of that swirl. So again, I think the threat is pretty low for that. We'll continue to watch it and see how it moves east. But I think for now, just seeing a lot of heavy rain for that, maybe 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts in southern Dubuque County and northeastern Jones County there. You did see that water symbol show up yet again. Again, I think everywhere really along and south of I-80 is going to be under a flash flood warning just because of how much rain we've been dealing with. And so we'll kind of show you that here. Again, the tornado warning is going to exceed that. But that's what you're seeing right here. It is now basically, again, along and south of I-80 is all under a flash flood warning. This was Doppler radar indicated, so again, we've seen inch and a half radar estimate in this far southern area where we've seen reports of inch to 2 inches, 3 inches out in Marion County off to our west. So this has produced a lot of rain. Could see maybe some ponding on some roads and some difficulty traveling in this area.
And that's the short-term problem, because there will be flash flooding here through the evening hours in these locations, because these flash flood warnings stay in effect for several hours. The one positive for eastern Iowa is that because the area, that heavy rain that's fallen down in our southern counties, it's going to go into the river and then to the south. So it's really not going to impact our rivers with that amount of rain. That's going to be more downstream and through southern Iowa and into
Right.
northern parts of Missouri. But in the short term, it is going to impact, and not necessarily just the rivers. This is more, any place that rains. I mean, you
Right.
saw how it was, flooding right in front of the Capitol in Iowa City. We're looking at the potential for that flooding to not be river flooding. I mean, there's a difference. There's residential flooding, and there's river flooding. I mean, there's all different scenarios, but the amount of rain here, at least for the southern counties, is not going to have an impact. Anything that's fallen to the north, that is. So those areas around Decorah and areas up to the south in New Hampton, Elkader, that all starts to go into the river basin of a certain location. So, and any particular spot, you could see what goes back up to the north and west when it comes to what areas need to be seeing the heavy rain for those rivers to be impacted. And a lot of the river stages in the forecast took into consideration the potential already of 2 to 3 or 4 inches. So it may not go up too much higher than it actually is on the forecast side.
Yeah, usually they only take in 24 hours, but since this is a very massive system, since we've been dealing with flooding in these rivers for the past month or so, they decided we're going to extend it 48 hours, take into account this rainfall forecast, and now after today, they'll just continue the 24-hour forecast. Of course, you can always go over to KWWL.com, go to the weather tab and click on river levels, but as Schnack mentioned, we are going to see some flash flooding. We're going to see rivers rise back up. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the forecast, at least as of this afternoon, the Cedar River projected to rise in many areas, including Cedar Falls, expected to be back into moderate flooding later this week. The Mississippi River, that'll continue to rise, and maybe with this rain, maybe not necessarily rise a ton more, but what it's going to do is maybe stay more stagnant, crest a little bit longer, and take a while to, the lower, again, in the Mississippi, there's a lot of water, there's a lot of tributaries that connect it. It's going to take a while for that to actually fall. So there's a lot involved here with rivers, with the Mississippi, just because all of the water that connects it. I mean, it starts at Lake Itasca in Minnesota, and that all has to flow down with, connecting rivers like the Minnesota River, the Chippewa River in Wisconsin, the St. Croix River. So you got a lot of water connected to that, and that all has to flow downstream. So we'll go back to kind of the radar, and again, just kind of show you one general overview. Again, as we mentioned, I think the Dubuque County, Jackson County, Jones County, we haven't seen a lot of rotation out of that, which is good news there. But we'll see how long this does last. It is in effect until 7:15. That picture there, I think it is in Dubuque. Yes, this is the Riverview Terrace camera in Dubuque. And yeah, pretty hard to see. What you do get is you get over the river, so there's already moisture there. So it's kind of going to be tough to see that as well. So it's kind of mixing in with the cloud cover there, but it is a lot of heavy rain going on in the Riverview Terrace in Dubuque. Already saw a lot of heavy rain earlier, had a sweet shot of a deer earlier. I don't think that deer is anywhere to be found right now. I don't think it wants to be out in the rain right now. I know I wouldn't. But we're seeing a lot of rain right now in Dubuque County. This is downtown Dubuque and overlooking westward into downtown Dubuque. So out of that tornado warning, but still seeing a lot of moderate to heavy rainfall to tack on what we already saw earlier this morning. So yeah, when it's all said and done, I wouldn't be shocked to see a lot of areas in eastern Iowa. I think everywhere in eastern Iowa probably saw at least an inch of rain, if not a little bit more, across the board. So again, I think Schnack, we're going to try to show you kind of what I was talking about earlier with the rivers that all connect. And this is going to be, I think, from Washington County up through
Iowa City.
Iowa City, excuse
So
me.
this is from Iowa City. So try to get you some perspective on this and the river flooding. So here's Iowa City right here, right in here. So anything that falls in this river, in this area to the north and west, has to go through Iowa City. So that is the area, the Iowa River, in that region. So even if the rain fell up in here, that's not going to affect areas down around Iowa City. Another vantage point would be, say, Cedar Rapids. We click on Cedar Rapids. So this would be Cedar Rapids right in here. So Cedar Rapids, then this is upstream, Cedar River goes into, so you'd need to have in these locations, it needs to be where you have the heavy rain that falls, eventually comes down in through the river, the Cedar River there into Cedar Rapids. So it doesn't mean that something that's to the east of Cedar Rapids is going to, like if it was heavy rain right in here, you're not going to get it to flood down there for the river. You need that to be in these tributaries all up and through north central Iowa.